back to my channel. I am Danielle, a registered psychotherapist, and in today's video, I am going to be sharing with you part 2 of my mindfulness series. So I'm going to be talking today about misconceptions about mindfulness. So this may be a little bit longer of a video, but I have included the chapters down below. If you want to focus on one specific area, you're welcome to do so. So I hope you enjoy. So one of the first misconceptions about mindfulness is that it allows you to think more clearly. So yes and no to that. Yes, in the sense that it allows you to reflect more on what your body is experiencing, what your emotions are, what your thoughts are. And it can be helpful in the sense that it can help you promote productive behaviors. But no, in the sense that if you're trying to analyze how you're feeling, what your body is doing, what your emotions are doing, what your thoughts are doing, one of the problems with this is that it can lead to hopelessness or a sense of discouragement and possibly increased anxiety because you can't identify what is going wrong. So for example, if you're having a panic attack and you start to think about, why am I having this panic attack? I should not be feeling this way. What happens is it creates an attentional bias within yourself that you only focus on what is going wrong, which in the end is going to create a sense of hopelessness again and increased anxiety because you keep focusing on what is going on within you and thinking that something is wrong. So this can be one of the first misconceptions about mindfulness. The second misconception to mindfulness is that it's meant to fully empty your mind. This is not necessarily true because what can end up happening as well is it will lead to a sense of hopelessness and despair if you think that way. Because what ends up happening when you think this way is you start realizing that, oh my goodness, I can't make my thoughts go away. And they keep returning and they keep returning. And this can create a sense of discouragement if you expect them to completely be obsolete. So what you want to do is instead just let your thoughts and your emotions be without analyzing them, without making any plans about them, just letting them be. So mindfulness is meant to simply observe what you are feeling and not get caught up in your emotions and your thoughts, right? So it's okay to see your thoughts coming back, right? But when you do, try to refocus on the task at hand. So don't be thinking about emptying your mind, but just be focusing on the task at hand. So for example, say you're washing the dishes and you are focusing on what you're doing and then you're noticing certain thoughts come and go. That's okay to notice that. But just refocus on the task at hand without having the intention of completely emptying your mind. The third misconception that I'm going to be talking to you today about is that mindfulness is meant to decrease your suffering. This is not necessarily the case. The idea is to learn to embrace an active stance of willingness to experience uncomfortable thoughts, feelings, and sensations, but while purposefully choosing to engage in more productive behavior. So for instance, mindfulness allows you to take that step back and look at what you're doing and choose something better. So instead of, grabbing that Ben & Jerry's ice cream when you are feeling low, be willing to observe the discomfort that you're experiencing and make a purposeful decision to engage in something else that you think may be more productive for you. The fourth misconception about mindfulness is that they always have to be dealt with formal interventions. There are definitely formal interventions out there, like mindfulness-based stress reduction technique. That's an 8-week course that a lot of people go on. That's really helpful for stress and anxiety. Progressive muscle relaxation, that's another one. That's typically about 15 minutes long. You can find this all over YouTube. But mindfulness does not have to be limited to formal interventions. You can do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever floats your boat. It doesn't have to be anything specific, and you're probably practicing it in your life without even realizing it. For instance, if you're taking a walk in nature one day on a really nice hike and you are observing the colors of the leaves, or you're observing the way the water rushes through, these are also forms of mindfulness where you are focusing more on something specific. You're not necessarily focusing on your thoughts. Your thoughts may be active, right? You may notice certain feelings that arise, but you are still focusing on something else. You're kind of getting out of your mind, you're getting out of your feelings and focusing your energy on something else. So it doesn't have to be a formal intervention. It can just be something specific that you choose to focus on. And this is simply what mindfulness is. So a lot of people see it as, oh my goodness, it's this huge technique that I really need to learn to master. But essentially all it is you are teaching yourself to refocus. And this is what you want to do with really distressing emotions and thoughts that you have. You want to learn to observe that, okay, yeah, I feel terrible today and I'm having these really strange thoughts going through my mind, but I can focus or be mindful of other things, even if it's just for a minute or 5 minutes. The last misconception that I want to talk to you today about is that mindfulness is filled with religious connotations, which sometimes prevents people from wanting to engage in it or seek more information about it or practice it altogether. So yes, various religious groups do practice mindfulness to a degree. The term mindfulness itself originates from Zen Buddhist philosophy. And in their 7th step in the Eightfold Path, they practice this mindfulness step, which basically just emphasizes that it's a method of detaching yourself from your thoughts and feelings and observing them in a non-judgmental way so that you can achieve a state of nirvana, which essentially is a state of peace or enlightenment. Other religious groups also practice mindfulness to a degree without perhaps emphasizing the term mindfulness. So take Christianity, for instance. One of the goals of Christianity is to set aside the attachment to yourself and instead refocus your thoughts and your energies to God and His provisions for you in your life. Moreover, the Bible also emphasizes taking your thoughts captive. And what does that mean? That basically means observing that you have certain thoughts, observe that maybe you have some distressing thoughts, but don't necessarily do anything about them. Simply observe them and let them go. Another thing that the Bible emphasizes, and I think speaks volumes to mindfulness without using the term mindfulness, is to be still. And what does that mean? What does that look like in your life? For Christians out there, that would mean observing that maybe you are suffering, maybe you are experiencing discomfort. But rather than running and trying to fix your discomfort and fix your problems and analyze everything going on in your life, where do you take it? You refocus your energy on God, right? So rather than letting your thoughts captivate you, practice letting go or practice being mindful by taking your own thoughts captive. So for a lot of people who are of various religious groups or who don't want to be practicing mindfulness, basically because the term comes from Buddhist philosophy, maybe think about it in a different way. What if you were to think about it in terms of letting go or refocusing? You are letting go of the distress, the thoughts, the feelings that plague you. And you are releasing those things and refocusing your energy and your thoughts elsewhere. So again, there are a lot of different misconceptions to mindfulness that are out there right now, right? But the goal here is to observe your thoughts and your feelings for what they are. Don't view them in a judgmental way at all. Don't have the emphasis on trying to figure out what's going on. Don't try to empty your mind. Instead, observe your thoughts and your feelings. You are invited to allow yourself to experience distress in your life, and instead let it go and allow yourself to refocus. And this is also what secular psychology tells you to do with mindfulness, is look at your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Be able to refocus to the task at hand. There is nothing huge about mindfulness. It is actually a very simple thing for you to do and to be really, really helpful in learning to be able to manage some of those really, really tough thoughts that you have running through your mind. So I would encourage you to start practicing that. Give yourself some space today to just observe your thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. Don't let them captivate your life. You take them captive. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed this video, I would encourage you to give it a thumbs up, or feel free to subscribe today to this video. In my next video, I'm going to be sharing with you about tools that you can use to start practicing mindfulness. It's simple, but not easy. But why not try practicing? Until next time, take good care.